Welcome to the League of Women Voters Brown County Virtual Candidate Forum for Brown County Council District 4. I'm Sherry Frank, President of the Brown County League. The League is nonpartisan. We do not support or oppose political parties or candidates. We provide voters with candidate information as published in the Democrat newspaper, the online voter guide, Vote 411, and candidate forums like this one to help people get to know candidate positions on issues. I'd like to introduce our forum moderator, Madison Miller. Madison spent 10 years working in state government and politics before moving to Brown County to become CEO of our local community foundation. She's a member of the Brown County League of Women Voters, an active Rotarian on the board of the Brown County Chamber of Commerce, and a leader of many projects to benefit Brown County. Thank you, Madison, for moderating this forum.
Thank you, Sherry. It's my pleasure to be here. It's important to note that all candidates on the ballot for the Council District 4 race were invited to participate in tonight's forum. Those in attendance include Republican Jim Kemp, Democrat Marcia Grooms Taylor, and Republican Scott Waddell. Not in attendance tonight is Republican candidate Kyle Clark. The candidates have been briefed on the rules for this evening. Each candidate will be asked to give a 1-minute opening statement. Then we will move to a series of questions where candidates will have 1 minute to provide their responses. When there are 10 seconds remaining in a candidate's response, our timekeeper, Pam Rader, will hold up a yellow card. A red card will be presented when time is expired, at which point I may ask candidates to wrap up their response. The order of the questions will rotate alphabetically so that one candidate is not always the first to answer questions. And then we will conclude our round of questioning with each candidate giving a 1-minute closing statement. Let us begin with opening statements. Mr. Kemp, you have 1 minute for an opening statement. Please unmute yourself and begin.
Hi, my name is Jim Kemp, and we'll just keep this simple. Been married to Christy for 38 years. We've got a daughter and a small 15-acre horse farm on the southern end of the county. I own a company by the name of McAvoy Kemp Wealth Management, which is a registered investment advisory firm in Columbus, Indiana. We manage a little over $80 million. And in the last 5 years, I've learned, let's just say I've learned more about the county than I really wanted to know. And the reason, it's real simple. The reason I'm running for county council is I'm concerned about our future. I'm concerned about what it costs us to live in the county. The county government right now, all in everything, is over $47 million a year. We're spending $3.9 million a month. And our income tax rate over the last, from 2007 to 2017, increased 70%. So my focus is real simple. I want to keep a lid on county expenses so it doesn't cost us any more than it absolutely has to live in the county.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor, your opening statement.
So I grew up in Jeffersonville, Indiana. From an early age, I was coming to Brown County because of the summer camps in the area. I even met my husband at a summer camp, and we were married at the same camp on Bear Creek Road. After graduation from Butler University, I lived in Nashville, Tennessee, and recently returned back to Indiana to make this my home. My husband and I both work remotely. We were able to luckily find a house with high-speed internet 6 years ago when we moved here. And I have become more familiar with the Brown County politics. And basically, it's not the way I was raised. I was raised in a civic-minded political family. My father, Ron Grooms, recently retired from the Indiana State Senate, where he represented Clark and Floyd counties. I learned from an early age that transparency is key in a democracy and that local governments need to be responsive to their citizens. I look forward to the upcoming campaign and to serve the citizens of Brown County.
Mr. Waddell, please unmute yourself and give your opening statement.
Hi, my name is Scott Waddell, and I have been in Indiana my entire life, was raised in Plainfield, and went to Indiana University at IUPUI, and then have worked in multiple different industries. I've owned 3 different businesses. Was in executive level management until the division I was working for sold, which great time to find a new position, and that brought me to Brown County, which I've loved my whole life. I've had many visits here and have thoroughly enjoyed every park visit, every trail, every area that I've explored coming down here. So now I'm very fortunate to live here for a little less than 2 years, but I'm one that likes to get involved in the community. I've been attending all the council meetings and commissioners meetings. Happy to be here at the school corporation as director of transportation, and just want to be more involved. So I'm looking forward to possibly getting into county government.
All right, let's move on to our first question, and we will start with Ms. Taylor. What one issue or part of county government would receive more attention if you were elected?
My focus would be on transparency. I think a lot of decisions are made behind closed doors and without the community having the chance to talk or discuss or voice their concerns before these decisions are made, and primarily look at what was done on Indian Hill Trail. So I think that's one thing that I would focus on, is making sure that government is responsible to the people and that they have an input as to what decisions are being made.
Okay, on to you, Mr. Waddell. What one issue or part of county government would receive more attention if you were elected?
The big picture focus. I see this county is moving in a direction, and it's like the flow of a river, and you're not going to change the flow of that river. So we have more retirees. We have 10% more than the average county in Indiana. And I can't tell you how many people since I've moved down here that I know in Indianapolis that tell me, oh my gosh, I love Brown County. I want to move there when I retire. So we're becoming a retirement community. We have been a tourist community. And I think that a bigger picture needs to be dealt with county government on where we're headed. I mean, so that the residents here can survive, because it's very costly tax-wise, and we need to figure out a good way to support it. So that would be a focus. I think the state park brings in millions of dollars for the state of Indiana, and I would be one to lobby the state for, if we got $1 per car that went in, it would be fantastic. So they're making an enormous amount of money off that park. So that would be a focus.
Mr. Kemp, same question. What one issue or part of county government would receive more attention if you were elected?
For me, it's simple. We need to go from a emotionally reactive, near-term mindset to a long-term proactive, and begin to look at where's the county going to be 5, 10, 15. Matter of fact, let's just take it to year 2050. Let's take it out 28 years. If we don't manage our expenses, you know, the long and the short of it is it's going to cost everybody an enormous amount of money. And we've got a lot of people in this county that, you know, have got, you know, more month at the end of their money. And if we don't keep a lid on the expenses, it's very likely that Brown County could get so expensive, a lot of people won't be able to afford to live in the county. And I'd hate to see that happen.
Okay, next question, and we are starting with Mr. Waddell. What do you see as the top economic development opportunity in our county? And what do you believe is the county council role in facilitating this opportunity?
So county council controls the funds, responds to the requests for funds from the commissioners and everyone in county government. I think the tourism is here, and the Brown County Music Center, some like it, some don't. It's here, and it has the potential to draw in lots of revenue for all the local shops and things. So as far as bringing the revenue, helping tourism grow is a major factor, making sure we have proper accommodations here for them, and that everybody is prepared to greet those folks when they come in and be hospitable. So the other areas I already mentioned is the park entrance fees. That is if we could tap into that, and the state would agree to give us a little bit. All of our infrastructure supports everything around that park, and we don't receive any money from the state for that. So that would be it.
Mr. Kemp, same question. What do you see as the top economic development opportunity in our county? And what do you believe is the county council role in facilitating this opportunity?
Well, I mean, I think, are you asking about, increasing the tax base? I guess, well, you asked the question of the opportunity of economic development. What's the purpose of economic development in Brown County? Is the purpose to increase the tax base? Is the purpose to increase the population in the county? What are the people within the county? How do they feel about that? There's a lot of talk that goes on about providing affordable housing. But the challenge with it is, I guess, to me, and that's the reason I go back to, let's move from a near-term reactive one where we're trying to fix to let's move to a long-term proactive and work on a shared vision of what the people in Brown County want for Brown County before I can even attempt to address that question.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, on to you. What do you see as the top economic development opportunity in our county? And what do you believe is the council's role in facilitating the opportunity?
Well, I think we have to build on what we know, and that's tourism. I don't think we should be looking at bringing in new development or new businesses, because I think that would greatly diversify Brown County too much. I think we should just focus on what we do, and that we are the recreation part of Indiana. And I think that going based on what Scott was saying, that we also need to look at the services that we provide, the protection that we provide to the state parks and the forest areas, and we need to ask the state to cover those expenses. We're providing a lot of infrastructure there, and they need to have our backs, and we need to be able to build off of that. For example, when 45 was rerouted and all the traffic was put onto Lanham Ridge Road, we were supposed to get that money from the state, and money was supposed to be used to repair Lanham Ridge Road. We need to make sure that was done.
Okay, on to our next question. And Mr. Kemp, you are starting. As the council with the power of the purse, what, if any, action can the council take to address the financial health of county government?
As I said earlier, if by chance I'm honored by being elected, and keep in mind I'm one person out of 7, so the only thing I can do is with my skill sets and my capacity is, I think what's lacking is we need somebody within the county that literally internalizes the total cost, not only the total cost of the 47 million, but in addition to that is, what are we paying for? And before we go to make any sort of decision, because my experience over the last 5 years, there's a lot of people from all over. Everybody wants to spend a lot of money. Everybody's got their own pet projects and the things that they want to do. But if we don't understand how much we've got coming in, who it's coming from, and where it's going, and what we're paying for, then how in the world could we ever make a rational decision to manage our resources wisely?
Ms. Taylor, same question. What, if any, action can the council take to address the financial health of county government?
I think we just need to look at where the money is coming from and how it's being spent. And it seems like there's some disconnect right now between the council and the commissioners. I think we need some transparencies and some directives so that they're working together, not independently of each other. I do think that we need a grand plan or development project plan so that we know how much money we can expect to receive on a yearly, 5-year, 10-year basis, and where that money should be spent, and maybe not on projects that have not been fully vetted or that don't meet the immediate needs of the citizens. I think we really need to be careful about where we're spending our money, just as you would be when you are looking at your own personal income. We need to look at this income and treat it carefully. This is our taxpayers' money that we're dealing with.
Mr. Waddell, same question. What, if any, action can the council take to address the financial health of county government?
First, transparency has been spoken of a lot here, and as I said, I've been to several council meetings as well as commissioner meetings, and I'm all for transparency. I think a lot of times the people that aren't attending the meetings or they're hearing a lot of hearsay and they aren't sure what's going on. So I think transparency is helpful to get all of us on the same team. I've not seen a lot of issue with the council and commissioners being on the same page. I think that more people need to be bold, as Dave Redding was when he came in and said something has to be done here for our budget. And he took a good look at what everyone does and says, is there any cuts here we could do? And then also looked at the health insurance and, basically had everyone looking for what could be done differently here to save the county taxpayers money on the health plan for county employees. And they did that. They made some major good moves to help lower risk and cost of health insurance for the county employees. So I think we need more politicians to be bold and make those kind of moves.
Okay, our next question goes to Ms. Taylor. Could you identify the top environmental concerns facing the county and what actions you could take at the county level to address them?
Well, I think the governor has put out that he wants to have a state trail system throughout Indiana. That trail system builds off the Tecumseh Trail, but the actions that were taken to close the Tecumseh Trail to hikers and force them to go 5 miles out of their way causes an environmental concern. Another concern is the burning that happens in the county, specifically when the county puts out a warning not to be burning at a particular time of year, a particular day, and the fire engines and the fire stations in this area, the volunteer fire department, gets called out on 6 or 7 different calls in one day. We need to have some actions or some accountability in that area where that if you are caught burning or if you require that the county volunteer fire department come out and take care of a fire that you started on your property, that you are responsible for that. And I think those are 2 areas where we could be more environmentally friendly and responsible because of the amount of timber and brush that we have in this area.
Thank you. Mr. Waddell, same question. Could you identify the top environmental concerns facing the county and what actions you would take at the county level to address them?
Sure. I think burning is certainly an issue. Also, I get so frustrated. I'm on in my role for the school. I'm on the roads all the time, and I see people just dumping trash. They think it's in the country road. Nobody's down through here, and they dump off things. And I think the county's doing a great job of picking up a lot of those things, but I'd still like to see more enforcement and I don't know how to stop that. But it's just very frustrating to see our county, and trash being thrown there. In the bigger picture, we have a lot of watershed issues. I would be very concerned about how people are responding to that and doing it in a way that protects our environment. I know there's several things being looked at for the watershed on the northern part of the county, and possibly a new lake that's needed. So I'd be very involved in making sure that the environment was protected with any changes.
Mr. Kemp, your turn. Could you identify the top environmental concerns and what actions you would take to address them? Mr. Kemp, you're muted. Please start over.
Okay, sorry. Over the last 5 years, one of the most contentious subjects in the county is this subject over septic systems and wastewater treatment. And I've actually have had conversations in the past, and what I would really would love to be a catalyst for positive change would be in the area of the health department and the area planning commission. And when I say that is simply this: we have ordinances, and our health department and our area planning commission should be their role should be to help the people, the community members in the county to stay in compliance with the ordinances. Those departments should not weaponize the ordinances and use those against county members.
Okay, Mr. Waddell, next question goes to you. What is your opinion of the current resources in Brown County for medical, dental, and mental health services? What role, if any, does the council have in addressing this issue?
I think that the council has a role in helping look after all the residents. So my experience with healthcare here has, I love the clinic that we have out at Eagle Park. I think that's a great resource. I have been to the IU clinic here also. I think that the county should be commended on making the move on bringing on IU Health for our ambulance service. I found that to be very lacking with the contract we had before with Columbus Regional. And I'm thrilled at the service now with the ambulances and that response time. So mental health facilities, I'd have to do more research into that area. I do know we have a drug problem in Brown County. That's not gone away. And so that's something that definitely needs to be addressed. And I think we should be looking at putting more resources towards that.
Mr. Kemp, what is your opinion of the current resources in Brown County for medical, dental, and mental health services? And what role, if any, does the council have in addressing this issue?
Yeah, I'm not clear on what the role the council would actually have on that subject, because I'm tending to thinking that would be more on the commissioner's side, would it not? So I can't really answer that quite, because the other, I guess my feedback is that really an issue? And if it is, then what percentage of the population is it an issue for? I guess I don't understand the need. I don't understand why that question is being asked. So I would need to be more. I would need to know more before I could even begin to address that question.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, what is your opinion of the current resources in Brown County for medical, dental, and mental health services? And what role, if any, does the council have in addressing this issue?
I think the services that we have with the Wellness Center and then the new ambulance contract, I think those are great. I was encouraged by the action that the commissioners and the council took to proceed with the grant and support the grant that was sought out by the Sheriff's Department in order to make available mental health funding and a liaison for the different services in the county. I think that's a great step forward to help, like what Scott was saying, with the mental health and the addiction problems that come from some incarceration that we have with a large number of the people in the community that are being housed and treated at the county jail. Beyond that, I also have to agree with Mr. Kemp, because I don't know what else the council would do in that role. But if there's a way to look at that and look at that, then I would be more willing to look at it, but I'm not sure what more the council can do.
Okay, our next question goes to Mr. Kemp. What, if anything, should the county council pursue to promote social and racial justice in our community?
Yeah, again, I don't believe that would be an area of responsibility for the council. So that's all I've got to say on that subject.
Ms. Taylor?
I'm not sure what role that the council would have either, but I do think that it is a little contradictory when you are a county that is based on tourism and relies on tourism for folks to arrive in the county and pass unwelcome signs rather than a welcome sign. I think some of the places or the areas that are flying certain flags, I think that can be seen as an unwelcome sign to people of different colors or nationalities. But I am not sure what the council's role in doing anything about that is, but I do think it lends to an unfriendly nature by having that type of signage around, particularly when we're relying on tourists.
All right, Mr. Waddell, what, if anything, should the council pursue to promote social and racial justice in our community?
I'm like the other two candidates, unsure what the council, their role could be, but from a personal aspect and my experience here in the county, I'm all about inclusivity and making everyone feel welcome. I think there's been a couple of incidences, unfortunately, with a couple of people, and the media caught on to that and blew it way out of proportion. So, but being a tourism community, we do have to watch about our reputation. And as I said, everyone needs to be a good host to everyone that is wanting to come visit our county.
Ms. Taylor, what is the role of county council regarding appointed boards in terms of member qualifications, identifying board responsibilities, and monitoring performance?
Well, it's my understanding that the council has a role to appoint different people to different boards. I think the commissioners also get to appoint people. And I would hope that there is a wide number of people applying for these roles. I know I have applied in the past, but have not, was not deemed worthy, I guess, which is fine. But I think we also need to draw from a wider pool and make more people aware of the role and the ways that they can serve their community by being on a board, and that we should look for a broader pool of applicants. And by educating people that they can be on a board, then we get a larger pool of candidates to choose from.
Mr. Waddell, what is the role of county council regarding appointed boards in terms of member qualifications, identifying board responsibilities, and monitoring performance?
Mm-hmm. So I think some of these appointments are absolutely critical in bringing on new ideas, new energy, new perspectives. Again, being all inclusive. So I think it's critically important to think outside the box on those. I've been in a lot of organizations, and I've seen it happen because a person has been in a certain role for such a period of time that then they just automatically get moved into the next level up, whether they're qualified or not. And so I'm all about looking outside. I liked on your website it said democracy is not a spectator sport. So I'm new to politics, jumping in head first, and I would encourage new folks to consider getting involved.
Mr. Kemp, same question.
Well, I think that's a wonderful question because I think this issue is extremely important to the health and welfare and the long-term health of the county. I've got a list in front of me. There's 27 different boards. What I don't know is, do we currently, both on the council side and on the commissioner's side, and along with the community foundation and other entities, what are we doing proactively? What policy do we have in place? What criteria is used in trying to recruit people for these board appointments? What are we doing to try to get the message out within the community to proactively look for those that want to get involved? I was surprised when I heard Marcia say that she's applied for different board appointments and has not been appointed. So this is an area that I personally would be very interested in getting a committee and some people together to address this issue.
Okay, Mr. Waddell, our final question of the evening. As a council member, what role would you play, if any, in determining priorities for road paving and repair?
Oh, you hit a hot button with me on that one. Being responsible for all the buses running the roads in this county. Oh boy. And I've heard from many folks that have lived here their whole lives that the roads have been way better. So it is an absolute priority of making sure we're seeking all the grants that we can possibly get to help us with our roads, and having a long-term plan and sticking to that plan. If you go back and see the promises that were made on the roads to be paved, I don't believe we've measured up and met those goals. So we have a lot of roads that need a lot of work. And I think the council and commissioners made some good moves in raising the pay for the county workers. I know in trying to hire school bus drivers, there's a shortage of drivers across the country. So upping the wages will help us have the employees that we need in that department. But boy, we need to get super creative because our roads need a lot of help.
Mr. Kemp, your turn. As a council member, what role would you play, if any, in determining priorities for road paving and repair?
I've already had conversations on this subject with a number of different people in the past, and I'll just say this: I absolutely resent the reality that the state of Indiana leverages Brown County. They own over 50% of the real estate in Brown County. I figure at a minimum, they're pulling $14 million a year in revenue, but they do not give us enough money from the state legislature for our county roads. And I would specifically, what we need is we need 3 to 4 to maybe even 5 really competent people that can learn that subject matter forwards, backwards, and sideways. And we need to be a thorn in the side of state legislator. And the squeaky wheel gets the money. And we've got to stand up for ourselves and tell the state of Indiana, you owe us more money because you're making a ton of money off of us every year. And because they don't give us enough money, because that money comes from the state legislator. We've only got 4 gas stations, for goodness sakes. So it's insane.
All right, Ms. Taylor, same question. As a council member, what role would you play, if any, in determining priorities for road paving and repair?
Well, I think the priorities need to be based on how many people live there or how many people are traveling on the roads. Looking at what happened earlier this spring or like this winter with roads not being paved, kids not being able to get to school, I think we need to look at where those kids are and make sure that those roads get paved so those kids can get picked up by the school board or school bus and get to their school. I saw something recently where the school wants to, or the state wants to limit the number of snow days you can take. That's really going to affect us if we go beyond that 3-day limit, because we can hit that in 1 week. We can hit that in 3 days. So we need to look at a lot of these different things that we're dealing with the number of tourists that are using the roads, the number of school kids that are using the roads, and we need to place some priority on the roads where those kids and those people are and make sure that they're getting taken care of, because right now they're not.
Thank you. I'm looking at the clock and we've made pretty good time, so I'm going to throw in one of our alternate questions. All right, so the question is, what, if anything, should the county council do to address county water, sewer, and septic needs? And we will start with Mr. Kemp.
I've only got a minute, and to be honest with you, I can't even begin to address that question in a minute. So I guess I'll just go back to my original statement. 38%, the bottom 38 counties in the state of Indiana represent 10% of the total population of 6.8 million. These issues of infrastructure, water, wastewater treatment, affordable housing, all of these subjects are all interdependent, and there's no quick fix to any of them. But if we really genuinely want to take a hard look at the year 2050, let's back up to where we are. And we've got to come together as a community and make a decision of what do you want Brown County to look like in the next 10 to 15 years? Because what you're talking about here, I mean, you're talking about hundreds of, millions and millions and millions of dollars. And there's been a huge fight over the regional sewer district, especially right now with Bean Blossom and Lake Lemon. And so there's a lot of contentious feelings because there's a lack of trust in the leadership within this county. And I'll just leave it at that, I suppose.
Ms. Taylor, same question. What, if anything, should the county council do to address county water, sewer, and septic needs?
Well, I think the county council's role is to make sure that the adequate funding is there for the services that the county provides. I don't think the county needs to be extending or creating new roles for themselves. And I don't think that we need to go beyond or provide additional funding for additional studies for additional services that we cannot provide at this time. And if we do decide that we want to go with a sewer system, then there is state funding available for research and project management. And there are different services that we can tap into without taxing our own citizens or requiring them to pay for these studies.
Mr. Waddell, what, if anything, should the county council do to address county water, sewer, and septic needs?
I only have a minute. It's not a quick fix. And unfortunately, I think we started off and I was stating that we need to have a long-term picture. Whoever's in our county government needs to be looking long-term. And they weren't for so long. We had a water line break in the parking lot of the transportation building at school last year. And the guys came out to fix it and they just replaced a little section. But that pipe is so old, it's breaking in places all over the place. And to hear about all the septic systems in the county that are past their usable life and therefore are not functioning properly and are leaking into our waterways is frightening and sad. And it's not a quick fix. So I would be looking at every possible grant or state help because the Brown County residents, there's only 15,000 of us. We can't afford to make all these repairs on our own, unfortunately.
All right, and we're going to throw in one more, and this, I promise, is the last one. We'll start with Ms. Taylor. What options do you see for the future of Brown County firefighters? Some examples are continuing as volunteer organizations, seeking funding for paid firefighters through taxes, using existing county budget, or other alternatives. Again, Ms. Taylor, we'll start with you.
I don't have it in front of me. I was surprised to learn how many other counties and communities rely on volunteers. I recently saw, and I wish I could pull that up right now. I don't think that Brown County needs or could support paid firefighters at this time. I think we do need to look at the services that we do provide with the coverages to the forests and the state park. And I think that we need to look at the state to consider helping with the funding for our volunteers, to making sure that they have the adequate equipment and that we take care of them. But I don't see right now where we can afford any full-time paid firefighters in Brown County.
Mr. Waddell, same question. What options do you see for the future of Brown County firefighters?
Well, I think the firefighters, are kind of behind the scenes and forgotten about until you have a major fire. So they responded incredibly well with the fires that occurred over in Green Valley. That took some special technology, to figure out where it was all spreading to. I think providing good equipment is critical. Would love to get to the point somehow where we could pay for some, but again, it can't be on the burden of the 15,000 of us in this county. So we've got to find great ways to help. We had a fire in town, just last week that was started at a little shop. It just so happens that the volunteer firefighters were having a meeting at the firehouse, so they were just minutes away. Were they not just minutes away, we might have lost several buildings in downtown Nashville. So that was just luck. I would love to see them have more equipment, and I don't know how to pay for it. I don't know how to pay for the firefighters, but I think that we should work towards having some paid firefighters.
Mr. Kemp, on to you as a council member. What, if anything, do you see for the future of Brown County firefighters?
Well, I mean, personally, I would take your question and go talk to all of the fire departments and start there. What do they want to do? Because they're the ones with the responsibility of having to, that's what they do. They're the fire department. So I think they are the ones that need to make the decision of what they see for the future and where they need support and help to give them the tools that they need so that, our maybe our homeowners insurance premiums would decrease a little bit. But you start with conversations with the people that are actively involved. I'm not a fireman, so I have no idea.
All right, Mr. Kemp, Ms. Taylor, and Mr. Waddell, thank you for participating in the candidate question portion of the evening. It's now time for us to conclude with closing statements. Mr. Waddell, let's start with you. Please unmute yourself and provide your closing statement.
Okay, well, again, Scott Waddell, running for Brown County Council, and would appreciate your vote. I would do everything I could. I'd attend every meeting and be prepared for those meetings, and would do my best to look out for you, the county resident. So I've not been involved in politics before. I was on homeowners association and was voted president, and then couldn't find my way out of that. So I got a taste of the whole political arena within that realm. But I just want to help better this community and make wise decisions for the future of this community. So I'd appreciate your vote.
Mr. Kemp, your 1 minute closing statement. Please unmute yourself.
As I stated earlier, if I'm honored enough to be elected, it's going to take me probably 2 to 3 years to go in and internalize the data from what we spend a year, what we spend a month, what we're spending it on. And once I can wrap my head around and internalize those expenses, I would love the opportunity to be able to have at least a couple of public meetings a year. And for those people that want to be involved, then let's get together. Let's talk about the cost. Let's talk about where we're spending the money. Let's talk about our future together. And let's talk about and begin to work on a vision for our county, a shared vision that we all, can hopefully begin to agree on what direction we want to head the county. Me running for county council isn't about Jim Kemp. This is about Brown County. It's not about me. I'll leave it at that.
Ms. Taylor, your closing statement, please.
Well, if elected, I plan to focus on fiscal responsibility, long-term planning, and the transparency required of democracy. Brown County Council needs to be responsive to the citizens. We need discussions at open meetings. We need advance notice of meetings and topics that are going to be discussed. And we need to listen to what the citizens are saying and what the community wants. And then we need to be good stewards of those resources and that revenue, and to make sure that the funding is received and then it's spent responsibly. And I would do that if elected.
This concludes tonight's candidate forum. On behalf of the Brown County League of Women Voters, I would like to thank each of tonight's candidates for allowing us to get to know them and their positions on important community issues. At this time, I would like to introduce Sunny Learcamp, co-vice president of the League of Women Voters, Brown County, who will say a few words to remind everyone to please vote in the primary election, May 3rd. Sunny?
Thank you, Madison, very much. And thank you to all of the candidates for being willing to be here this evening and discuss these important issues. As Sherry in her introduction pointed out, the League of Women Voters is nonpartisan, and our primary purpose from its inception has been to encourage and facilitate voting. And one prong of voting is being an informed voter. And the purpose of these forums is to make sure that citizens can learn about their candidates. And not only do you have the opportunity to hear the candidates' responses that have been given tonight, but you can also check out other websites, particularly vote411.org, which has state, local, and national candidates. So we encourage you to do that as well, to learn as much as you can about the candidates that are running in your area. But the very first priority has to be to make sure that you are qualified to vote. So we encourage everyone to check on the status of their registration. And you need to do that on or before April 4th for this primary, which occurs on May 3rd. So please check that out. Don't assume that there hasn't been either a human or technical error that may have occurred to cause you some issues with reference to the status of your registration. If you want to vote early in person, voting starts on April 5th and ends at noon on May 2nd. Check the hours and poll locations at indianavoters.in.gov or call your county clerk. You can also vote absentee by mail. If you're over 65 or qualify for another reason, you can vote by mail, but you have to apply, and the application has to be received by April 21st of 2022. The third option that you have is to vote in person at the primary election on May 3rd. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Be sure to go to your designated polling place. If you don't know where that is, again, go to indianavoters.in.gov or call the county clerk's office. There's also one additional option if you happen to be a homebound voter. That's if you're either ill or you just have difficulty getting out. You can apply by noon on May 2nd, and an actual bipartisan team will come and assist you to complete your ballot. So again, make sure that you are qualified to vote and that you are an informed voter. Thank you for listening to this forum, and I'm sure all of the candidates appreciate the time that you've taken to participate in this very important part of our democracy. Thank you.